And Abe loves me, so I can. But people stepping into the place that God has for them, stepping into their ministry, into their calling, and just fast forwarding and gone. And it's not just a short time. This is an ongoing thing. It's not something that happened a year ago and now was stopped. It's not like God sneezed and moved a few people. You know, it's an ongoing, it's an acceleration. I believe we're living in the last days. Right? How many agree that we're living in the last days? You look at the world and the things that are happening in the world, and you read the scriptures. Jesus talked about it, the apostles talked about it. The stuff they said is what we're seeing in the world today. Right? 2 Timothy chapter 3. Second Timothy 3, 1-5. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. We see that everywhere we look. Right? You look around, you watch TV, you see this stuff. You read the news, you see this stuff. You talk to people on the street, you hear this stuff. It's out there. This is what is going on in the world. And he says, in the last days, these are the things that you will see. So we're living in the last days. But what does that have to do with this acceleration? What does this have to do with your calling? Ephesians 5. Verse 27. I'll start at verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. So God wants the church to be holy and blameless, without spot, without blemish, and he's coming soon. Once he's here, the church is no more. Right? Because we will be with him in glory. So he wants the church to be glorious and spotless. That's us, that's here, that's now. So if he's coming soon, we got to get cleaned up soon. Actually, before soon. If we wait till soon to get cleaned up, we'll miss it. God wants us to be spotless, blameless. He wants to present himself with a glorious church. And the closer the return of the Lord comes, the more acceleration we will see. I go to Galatians chapter 6. Galatians 6, start at verse 7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he that sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that sows to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. I have seen firsthand the result of walking after the flesh and seeing the corruption that comes from the flesh. It used to be, and not terribly long ago, but you could get away with stuff for a while. Right? Mm-hmm. You know, God would say, you need to get this cleaned up in your life. You need to get this cleaned up in your life. And, you know, you just whatever. I'll get to it yet. Yeah, I know I should, but we don't. And God would kind of let it go for a little while. And he'd be patient with us, and he'd be patient with us, and he'd be patient with us. And once he was done being patient with us, he'd be patient with us some more. Right? Am I the only one who knows this? No, come on. But it says, if we sow to the flesh, we will of the flesh reap corruption. That doesn't mean we're going to die right away. There are other people in this world that are also flesh. And they can cause corruption in our life. They can bring destruction to your life. When we walk after the flesh, when we disobey God and what he's asking us to do, if we refuse to get ourselves cleaned up and walking according to what he has asked, we open the door for other people around us to come and destroy our stuff. It's in the world. People destroy other people's stuff. Right? It happens here in Plum Coulee. It happens in Winkler. Everywhere you look, people destroy other people's stuff. It's the nature of man. It's the sinful, fallen nature of man. As Christians, as born-again believers participating in the covenant of God, I believe we can live above that. God protects our property. He protects our stuff. The enemy cannot destroy our stuff when we're walking in obedience to God. I believe that. We were driving one night on our way to see my parents out at the lake. And we were driving around Winnipeg. And all of a sudden I had this, I'll call it a vision, an image, whatever it was. I saw our house, our property, and I don't know what exactly it was, but there was an attack positioned against our property. But that's as far as they got. They were on the street. It was almost like tanks with their turrets pointed right at our house. But they were parked, you know, half a property width back, just on the street. They were aimed and positioned towards our house, but they couldn't get in. They couldn't get at it. There was a hedge of protection around. Right? I believe that when we follow God, he protects us. He protects our stuff. We weren't home, so we wouldn't have been harmed if something would have happened to our house. Right? But it's our house. God gave us the house. It's his gift to us. And he protects that. On the other hand, when we choose to disobey, when we walk after our own ideas and our own plans, when we refuse to clean up our act and get rid of the stuff in our life that God says is hurting us, that God calls sin, then we open up that protection because we step through and cross that line. As soon as you open the door to the other side, then the attack can get through, right? And it used to be that we could go on with that for a while. We could get away with things for a while.